So hi and welcome. John Peterson here from the Arlington Institute, and we're glad to have you with us. Wanted to check in with you here just before Christmas time to tell you a little bit about our next transition talks, which is coming up on the 18th of January with our dear friend Dr. Larry Dossey. Larry's with us today. Hi, Larry.
Hi, John. Good to be with you.
It's very nice to be with you. Uh, as many of our friends know, you've written New York Times best-selling books. You're a physician. You've run a big piece of a major hospital, and you're the leader in trying to think about how all of kind of reality connects it to each other in kind of ephemeral or not in obvious kind of ways. And so we're really looking forward to having you come and be with us and tell us a little bit about what you're going to talk about.
Well, the reason I think that reality is interconnected is because everybody else is connected. This is the theme of my latest book, a book called One Mind. And the premise of the book is that based upon hardcore data, actual laboratory experiments, we can go up against one of the leading falsehoods of the day, which is that the mind is limited to our brains, that it's produced by the brain, and that it's limited to the here and now. We are entering a period where we are reevaluating tremendously how we think about our own consciousness. I think that the image that is going to prevail is that we're all connected, that consciousness is unitary, it's collective, it's some of the great psychologists of our time, such as Carl Jung, have maintained, and that we need to get over this idea that our consciousness is fixated in our brain, it's limited to our body and to the present. This is an old, ancient fiction, and I think our future as a human species depends upon whether or not we can make this leap in our understanding that consciousness is fundamental. It's what we call non-local. It's not limited to the here and now. So that's what I'm going to talk about at Berkeley Springs.
Well, that's really right down the line of what we talk about and what we're interested in here, because this whole series, of course, is called Transition Talks, and you know that because you've been with us before. We had a wonderful time, a number of years ago, 4 or 5 years ago. And the idea is this whole transition and what the new human and the new world would look like. And clearly, this role of consciousness and the kind of increased kind of awareness of and engagement with consciousness in a very active kind of way, in ways that we haven't so far, are central to the fundamental characteristics of this new human. And so it'll be fun to have you with us.
Well, I think there's a sense of urgency in what you're about and what I'm about. I think that unless we can come to an understanding that we're all connected and interrelated, we're not going to be able to go beyond the tribalism and the political insanity and the environmental destruction that we're faced now as a human species. So I don't want to over dramatize what we're up to here, but I think that these are urgent times. And unless we get this right, the future for our species looks very, very dismal. So I think that we're looking at a renaissance here. And it's not that we have to go mystical or anything like that. We just have to do good science. Because, John, this unitary collective notion that we're talking about here is affirmed not just by visions and people's mystical inclinations, but we're looking at hardcore science that says this is the way it is, that our separation is a fiction, and the fundamental underlying truth is that we're all connected and united. So it's time for us to stop doing this mutual extermination game that we're playing on the earth now and come to our senses.
Well, I agree with you completely, and very much share your sense of urgency. That was the underlying thread that went through the presentation that I started in December on December the 7th, I think it was. And we went for about 3 hours and then ran out of time because they threw us out of the room. And so one little advantage to some of the folks who are thinking about coming on the 18th to hear you is that you're going to get a chance to hear me too, again, because I'm going to finish up my talk in the morning, and we're going to start at 10 in the morning and go till 11, and then we'll all break for lunch and then come back and give you a big chunk of time in the afternoon. And so I just want to make sure that there are a lot of folks that kind of got hung out. I got 75 more slides to go, so we'll get that finished in the morning at 10 o'clock, and you know, that doesn't cost anything more. Just come and we'll finish it up.
Great.
So anyway, we're really looking forward. This is going to be fun, Larry. It'll be fun to have you back with us.
Looking forward to it, Don.
Yeah, and so if you can come back, come and be with us on the 18th. Come at 10 in the morning if you can, and I'll finish up my talk, and then we'll break for lunch, and we'll come back at about 1 o'clock, and Larry will carry on for the rest of the afternoon, and we'll have some wine and cheese, and you get a chance to meet him, talk to him, ask him your personal questions, not too personal, but in the meantime, we hope that you'll all have a wonderful holiday season, and we look forward to seeing you on the 18th. And thanks, Larry, for being with us today, and we'll see you next month.
I can't wait. Thanks.